Okay, so good day to everyone. My topic for today is about counseling. Um, we can see here that the counseling is the heart of guidance program, and it integrates all the data gathered about the individual and his or her environment in order for them to make sense. Now, we have here the nature and purpose of counseling. So, the following definition integrates the different facets of counseling as seen by different authorities in the field and as formulated by Gibson and Mitchell in 1999. So, counseling is a goal oriented relationship between a professionally trained, competent counselor and an individual seeking help for the purpose of bringing about a meaningful awareness and understanding of the self and environment, improving planning and decision making, and formulating new ways of behaving, feeling, and thinking for problem resolution and or development growth. So the definition makes it clear that one of the people in the interaction is a trained, competent professional and that there is a goal toward which the interaction is directed. That is why this requirement also prevents those with minimal or no training. But in the past, peer counselor was the term used for students or employees who were helping fellow students or employees even with their limited training, and because the practice was questioned, these non-professionals are now called peer facilitators. Likewise, before RA 9258, anyone who finished a course in counseling or psychology in the undergraduate or graduate level could work as a counselor without passing the board examination. So, that is before the law about guidance and counseling. Anyone or yes, kahit sino pwedeng mag-practice ng counseling regardless of kung natapos ba niya ito or hindi or kung meron man siyang lisensya or hindi. And with the passage of the law, the above definition of counseling could be more closely adhered to. Next would be the goals of guidance counseling. So it says here that the goals of counseling may be classified in different ways and the various approaches in counseling may address them differently. So we have here first is the generic goals, and they can be targeted for everyone depending upon the stage at which an individual is encountered. So they pertain to the general classification spelled out by Gibson and Mitchell 1999, page 145. So first would be the developmental goal, and it says here that when clients are assisted in preparing for their anticipated human growth and development in the physical, personal, emotional, social, cognitive, and spiritual dimensions, the goal of counseling may be developmental in nature. For example, a pre-adolescent may be helped or maybe help to understand the growth spurt or the moodiness that she may experience and or the changes in the interest and characteristics of the friends that she grew up with and so on, so that when this actually take place she may not be caught unprepared and would be ready to respond to the situation para naman makapaghanda siya, hindi yung bigla-biglaan lang, and she has the time to at least be ready. Next would be the preventive goals. When clients are encountered at the time they are not experiencing any problem but are helped to avoid experiencing undesired outcomes, the goal may be preventive. For instance, a student decides to take nursing because of the opportunity to work abroad. But if test results and grades show that she is weak in science or in math, and interviews reveal that she is impatient with people, or precious time and energy can be saved if she is made aware of characteristics that maybe or may not be work against success in the field. And also she may be spared from loss of self-esteem and embarrassment. This also apply for any other courses as well. Next would be the enhancement goals. So enhancement goal is when clients encountered need to be helped to identify, recognize, and enhance and pala yun, I'm sorry, kulang ng N, letter N. So, and enhance unused or underused talents, skills, and abilities. So, for instance, is if an individual laments all his weaknesses and remains unaware of the strengths that could enable him to meet his goals, he may be helped to recognize those strengths, how and where they might be used, and how they could be enhanced. So, it is basically more on the development of one's skills, talents, and abilities. Next would be exploratory goals. It is when clients do not believe they have an existing problem but can benefit from examining options, testing skills, and trying new and different activities, environments, relationships, and so on. They can be helped to explore other pathways. Say, for example, if a client overindulge in isolated computer games or PlayStation activities, helping him experience playing with other people or joining others in fun-filled activities can help him experience the enjoyment of doing things with others. Example, this also pertains to people who prefers to stay on their comfort zone, so that they could be able to explore and experience other things too. Number 5 is reinforcement goals, and it is when clients are already taking action for resolving their concerns or already have a planned course of action when they come for counseling. So, our goal here is so that we could be able to help them recognize what what they are doing or thinking or maybe feeling may be okay or may need some fine tuning. For example, we are giving them feedback and affirmation or modification. Next would be remedial goal. So clients are assisted to overcome or solve an already existing concerns are called remedial, and among the generic goals, the remedial goal seems to be the target of most counselors in the Philippines. So, I have here an example that if a failing student who is being physically abused by her boyfriend can be assisted by helping her find ways to handle the abusive boyfriend and her own failure. So, that's one example. Um, it also says here that routine interviews could be used for attaining some of the other generic goals, but because of the work or the headcount required by the school they are working in, many counselors often become perfunctory or superficial in conducting routine interviews. Yun nga kasi kulang na kulang tayo sa guidance counselor here in the Philippines. Next dimension is the human dimensional goals. Gibson and Michel seem to refer to the various dimensions of a human being that must be addressed when they discuss the following goals. So we have here four. First is the cognitive goals. So, technically, this goal refer to the development of the intellect, and this is a concern mainly in school. So, this goals focuses on the acquisition of the basic foundations of learning and cognitive skills. So, more on cognitive siya or the brain development. And next is psychological goals. This goal also refer to the development of good intra and interpersonal skills, our social interaction skills, our emotional control, self-esteem, and the like. So, counselor in schools and other settings are often called about to respond to this. So, it is more on our, like what I said a while ago, um, our social skills or how do we interact with each other. Number three would be psychological goals. And these are the goals whereby clients are helped to develop the basic understanding and the habits for good health, such as those done by fitness and diet counselors. Um, Very few school or clinical counselors have the expertise for this and are likely to refer to doctors, dietitians, and other healthcare providers. Dito here in the Philippines kasi we are not more on going to counselors when it comes to our healthcare or when it comes to our diets. That is why it's a practice for them to refer us to the doctors, dietitians, and other healthcare providers. Number four, spiritual goals. It is helping individuals focus on internal processes within them which have to do with wholeness and inner peace constitutes the spiritual goals, whether this includes the relationship with God or not. In the Philippines, spiritual goals are still mainly looked upon by many as connected to the relationship with God, sinfulness, and other aspects of morality. But clients with such goals are often referred to priests, pastors, and other religions or religious. So, they would either let you attend parang mga encounter or Bible studies, or meron pa yung isa with retreat, or that's what we call retreat or encounter. Next would be the types of counseling according to areas covered. So, based mainly on the problem area covered and goals to be attained. So, isa-isahin natin yan. First is the academic educational. Focus is mainly on school or academic concerns, school selection, school entry, school adjustment, and school maintenance. So the target is usually to locate the student in the proper academic setting and to enable him or her to get the highest possible passing grades in the subject or courses that she or he is enrolled in. So it can also focus on post-high school plans, which may involve moving to a non-degree or degree course, or college plans or post-college plans or postgraduate course would be involved. School selection would pertain to what we call, the particular concerns are about the course offerings, the requirements for admission, co-curricular and extracurricular activities. So, ito yung mainly yung tinutukoy when it comes to school selection or school entries. Also, this includes yung mga natatanggap nating school grants or financial grants. Next would be so what else? Okay. Yung the post high school plans is, I think this includes our exam when we were in grade 9, or the career exploration, so that we could be able to find out what areas or skills that we acquired, and this can help us to choose whether what course or what what do you call that one? What line of educational threads are we gonna enroll in? So that's it. Next would be vocational or occupational career. So focuses mainly on the selection of or the proper preparation for the world of work. So this now focuses on our work environment, on finding the job, and on how to pass job interviews and the like. So career counseling is done throughout college and especially in the first or second year. Work opportunities during and after college are also concerned, and although this is often times taken over by the placement office if there is. What else? Actually, in our terminal year in college, career counseling is also done to help the person decide what to do after graduation, whether to pursue further studies, work, or get married, or go abroad to find greener pastures. This I think is when we are graduating before our graduation, they will be conducting a seminar about this, or yeah, I think pre-employment seminars in order for us to be ready on what to expect when we will finish our course. Next would be the personal social, and this can be extended to anyone at any age and usually focuses on the interpersonal and intrapersonal growth of a person, and it is wide in scope. So it focuses on different aspects of person's life and on different life experiences. So personal problem including family conflict, depression, sexuality or relationship concerns, sleep difficulties, anger, anxiety, or stress come under this category, and personal social counseling has become more specialized in its concern, and some of which are outlined below. So, these are the scopes of personal counseling. First would be the diet counseling. So, um, sabi ko nga kanina that while diet counseling is considered the work of the dietitian or the nutritionist, school and psychological counselors may find themselves doing some of it. So, diet counseling has always been associated with weight loss and the handling of ailments like high blood pressures, diabetes, arthritis, and heart disease. But it has been found to play an important role in these four. So it reduces our physical symptoms such as headaches, stomach upsets, muscular pains, and increasing one's ability to cope with pain by changing one's sense of well-being and physical health. Also, concentrating and responding appropriately to situations and minimizing stress. I'm sorry with the typo, that is supposed to be minimizing stress. So the safest course in addition to referring the client to the proper professional is to inform and encourage client to decide on what or on how to eat the right kind of food. This may involve a decrease in fat, salt, and sugar, and an increase in fruit and vegetable intake. So eat the right amount of food and more slowly to give the stomach and the time to communicate when it is full. So basically they will be teaching us how to take rest when we just finish eating, and eat at the right time on a regular basis. Because sometimes if we are busy or we have a lot of work to do, we tend to eat in in a random pattern. And number four is to avoid total inactivity such as sleeping or meditating immediately after a heavy meal to facilitate digestion. Next would be the crisis counseling, and usually thought of as a stress so severe that the individual becomes disorganized and dysfunctional. So, cycles of increasing tension and anxiety and ineffective coping occur because of the inability to think clearly, plan decisively, and act responsibly. And crisis intervention is a helping process to assist an individual or group to survive an unsettling event so that probability of debilitating effects, example our emotional trauma, post-traumatic loss reactions, or physical harm is minimized, and the probability of growth, our new coping skills, new perspectives on life, or more options in living is minimized. Um, in crisis counseling, we have two major categories. One is the developmental crisis. This is the universal and often experienced as one goes through the different stages of life and encounters different developmental tasks. Example is we experiencing a teen going through puberty. That is why we need to adjust. Next would be if you're going to get married, and it is most likely for you to adjust with everything. Another example would be us having an aging parents. So those are some of the examples. The next one is the situational crisis, such as injury, disaster, death, divorce, or illness. In crisis counselors here and abroad agree that the following sub-goals must be met if empowerment that would counter the feelings of helplessness and fear is to be attained. So first, normalizing feelings and reactions, defining and prioritizing needs, developing strategies for addressing needs, learning coping skills, and ensuring future mental health. Also, we have here key elements in helping people handle distressing and traumatic events in their lives according to Conner in 2006. So first is education. So through the education or informations, activities, and structure that will help the client recognize the normalcy of the distress and confront his or situation. So basically, we would educate our clients on how to normalize things. And number two, observation and awareness. So we would help the client see the problem and how he or she may be contributing to the crisis, or how family dynamics and communication problems within family prolong a crisis. Number three would be discovering and using potentials. So we are helping the client to recognize his or her qualities and abilities that he can use, or so that he can cope up with crisis, and we could encourage him to make decisions and actions to resolve his or her own problem or crisis and improve his quality of life, or so that she could be able to grow as a person. Number four is understanding problems. We would be helping the client recognize or discover his or her true and deepest intention, regardless of the inactivity or ineffectiveness of his or her behavior in the crisis situation, and how others may keep him or her stuck in the face of crisis. And so we are gonna teach our clients on how to get out or on how to resolve his or her problems if he or he is stuck on that particular situation. Number 5 is creating necessary structure. This will allow the client to express, explore, examine, and become active in ways that help ensure the crisis is not prolonged. So, this may involve activities and routines that provide comfort and support but precludes alcohol, medications, or other drugs. So, this is more on positive sides. 6 is challenging irrational beliefs and unrealistic expectations. So, it is found in what clients are thinking, what they assume, and what they expect of themselves and of others. So, since they contribute to a great deal to feelings and responses to them. So, these challenging irrational beliefs and unrealistic expectations are, it's like controls them to, uh, what controls them to be more, to be more stressed and anxious. So, these irrational beliefs and unrealistic expectation prevents them to be more productive and be more, sociable to other people. So, uh, this in here we can help them, parang tutulungan natin sila para mawala yung kanilang mga irrational beliefs and unrealistic expectations. Number 7 would be breaking vicious cycles and addictive behavior, since they cause crisis by confusing one about how he or she actually feels about the self, others, and the world around. So, taking a victim role can cause other to rescue a person in crisis and prolong it by encouraging dependence. Next would be the creating temporary dependencies by performing or forming brief relationships with others in order to gain support, but eventually moving towards independence. So in here we will just create support, example us, where they could depend on but not uh, um, forever. If of course it is temporary, we will just gonna help them to move forward and eventually they can now stand on their own. Number 9 would be facing fear and emotional pain so as not to be eaten up by them and to discover that one can survive. And by acknowledging and confronting such, the individual can handle the consequent problems. We will help them to handle their fear and emotional pain so that those pain and emotional those fear and emotional pain won't let them down or won't pull them back. Instead, they will realize that they can they can conquer their fears and emotional pain so that they can be more productive in the future. Number 10 would be recognizing that one is not destroyed. So it helps a person discover that pain will fade. People in emotional pain need to be empowered and supported to make them feel less alone and to solve problems in their lives. Okay, next would be the grief or bereavement counseling. So in here, we all know that loss is something that everyone experiences, so it is inevitable, and whatever age, gender, sex, educational background, socioeconomic level we have, we all experiences this loss, and it can come in many forms, like the loss of significant others, our animals, our pets, our prestige, fame, money, power, our job, or and so on and so forth. But it is experienced differently by different people, and depending upon the meaning attached to whatever has been lost, it is in the end of all hopes and dreams a message from God that might be best for all involved, a challenge to do better or something else. So in here, it is normal to grieve and to experience any of the following. So it is sadness, anxiety, depression, and feelings of emptiness, crying even when the current situation does not call for tears, sleeping or eating too little or too much, being uninterested in or saddened by involvements and activities one would normally enjoy, feeling restless, irritable, tired, or lethargic without any underlying physical cause, difficulty in concentrating, remembering, and making decisions, feeling guilty, hopeless, worthless, as all the minutes are magnified and all the pluses are forgotten. So it's like our world turns upside down. But although the grief may be normal, grief counseling can be helpful to normally functioning individuals who have suffered an overwhelming loss, and the goals of grief counseling are as follows. So, 1. To work through the task of mourning completely and healthily, to adjust to the loss and return to normal functioning. 3. To deepen understanding of oneself and to deepen one's appreciation of what or who was lost without pain. So basically, it is normal for us to mourn healthily and completely. So sometimes iba-iba tayo. There are some people who mourns or grieve for a long time, but there are also people who could cope up in a short amount of time also. So we have here the helpful practice, and these are as follows. Allowing the person to cry freely and discuss the pains. This means no judging, coaxing, pacifying, and controlling. Encouraging the person to experience the anger felt perhaps towards self, the person who left or who caused the loss, God, and other situations or circumstances, and normalizing this anger. So this is very common to people who lost someone they love. So kung titingnan natin, or even when we observe people around us, common na sa kanila na sisihin yung either sarili nila, yung Panginoon, or anyone that may have caused the loss. Number 3, encouraging the person to express the meaning of the loss to him or her. So, kung minsan ito yung magtatanong sila na why or bakit siya pa yung namatay sa dinami-dami ng, masasamang tao, why? So, actually, basically, that is normal. So, let them ask that. And if you can, you might wanna share some encouraging thoughts or insight to that person. Number 4, giving the person time with some guidance to discover her or for herself or himself the meaning of the loss for those left behind. So, little by little, slowly, we are guiding a person who may have experienced loss for him or her to realize what is the meaning of life, even if they have lost someone they loved, and enabling the person without pushing to discover personal inner resources, vice versa the role to be played thereafter. So yung parang normal lang, we don't push them, or wag natin silang madaliin na mag-move on. It's not like we will told them to 1 year na pero hindi ka pa nakaka-move on. So we should avoid those words for someone who may experience loss. Next would be pastoral counseling, And it says here that not every counselor is qualified to conduct pastoral since it combines religion and spirituality with secular counseling to promote health and wholeness. And this type of counseling is usually conducted among those with moral spiritual issues, as in the case of those who, number one, would be have cognitive dissonance regarding their sexuality, extramarital affairs, cohabitation, the decision to terminate suffering by choosing to die, or taking away gadgets to prolong life. Um, One example here would be the euthanasia or the silent killing ba yun? That's it. Another will be cohabitation or the extramarital affairs. So um I don't know, but nowadays it is very common for us to know um what do you call that one? It is very common as to for us to witness those extramarital affairs. Also cohabitations like what we call the live-in partners, something like those. And number two are deciding whether to pursue or live the religious life or marriage. Yung mga ibang actually yung mga ibang nagpo-process or nagbabalak magpa-divorce or magpa-annul, they are going through pastoral counseling. Also yung mga ibang nagbabalak na magpa-convert sa ibang sekta, let's say religion or other religious affiliation. And number three are planning a change of religious affiliation. Number four, cannot find meaning in their pain and suffering, as in the case of those who are sick and dying or the bereaved. So, dito umuso yung what Bible study or pastoral healing or prayer meeting or prayer healing, wherein we will invite pastors or the fathers in Catholic. We will invite them to pray over our loved ones who is sick or experiencing sickness for a long time. Also, this can also apply for the bereaved family. And it says here that the goals could be to help the person understand the meaning of his or her experiences, to see the hand of God in the experiences, and to make decisions on the basis of church biblical techniques. In the context of pastoral counseling, empowerment is seen in adherence to God's will. So that's it. Next would be leisure counseling. So, leisure is considered as discretionary time and is defined as free or unobligated time. So, leisure activities are freely chosen by us, and this is non-work activities where one's participation is not required and where there is no expectation of extrinsic rewards such as money or praise. So, parang ginagawa lang natin siya during our free times. And the problem of many people nowadays is on how to ensure that they are still able to meet their obligations and cut down on their leisure activities. For instance, our leisure would be going to or surfing the internet, or having drinking sprees or bonding with our friends, not knowing that as times goes by parang nagiging addiction na natin yung mga ganoong gawain. So this is the function of leisure counseling. So one is the kind of leisure activities that are suitable for the individual. So those prone to addiction to certain things must be prevented from engaging in anything that would unduly expose them to additive substance or activity like drinking with friends or alone. Kasi minsan sasabihin na lang natin na every Friday. It is our me time, and during our me time we would prefer to drink some alcohol beverages, and until such time that hindi natin namamalayan, it turned out as one of our addictions. So those with certain ailments can be helped to avoid activities that would aggravate their condition, and those who need friends or socialization can be guided toward activities where they can get to know others and relate with them on a regular basis. So those who tend to focus on their deficiencies and need to build their self-esteem can be guided to participate in or perform activities where they can use their talents, and those who do not have any idea what kind of leisure activities they can engage in can be led to discover their flow experiences. Activities which they can engage in alone are non-competitive and get them so absorbed that they forget the time, problems, and work from the time being. Okay, mhm. Okay, so number two would be when and or how long one must engage in leisure activities. So, workaholic can be guided to make time rather than find time for leisure activities, since their tendency is to sideline or ignore it. So, like what I've said a while ago, that leisure should always be during our free time, hindi yung hahanapan pa natin ng schedule to fit in doon sa regular routine natin. And those who have problems with proper scheduling or their time management can be helped to work out a schedule which would enable them to attend to their duties and responsibilities and enjoy leisure activities as well. So, dapat if we are engaging in leisure activities, we see to it that we are really enjoying it, not it's not the other way around, that we feel that we are obligated to do it. Also, those who have tendency to get so absorbed in activity that they cannot stop when they have to be are when they have to can be taught to set up controls. So, yun nga yung sabi natin na lahat ng sobra masama. So, basically, leisure counseling can assist individuals in identifying options consistent with their lifestyle and interest, making appropriate choices, and when needed, securing the necessary education. So it also teaches us the right thing to do regarding our leisure activities. Okay, so that ends my report. Feel free to comment or comment your questions. I mean, to put your questions under the comment sections for us to answer next meeting or when we have the time. So thank you. This for your reference. Um, you may take note of the reference that I indicated on my last slide.